Hey guys, David here and welcome to another video. In this video I just want to give you a quick overview of the 3D file for the Dark Art CNC. As this here is available on my store, you might be watching this on the store right now, and just to make clear what is included and what not, I want to give you a quick overview here. If you want to know more about the machine in detail, if you haven't already, make sure to go watch the final video or the entire series about it, as I'm just going to focus on the 3D model and not the different specifications and why I chose certain parts. Now, when you buy this file on the store, you will get a Fusion 360 archive file as well as some step files in case you're not using Fusion 360. If you're using Fusion, then you can simply, here in the data panel, I would recommend creating a new folder, and then you click here on upload, select the file, and that will upload both this main Dark Art CNC file as well as all the different referenced files that I have for various parts. So that's why I would recommend making a folder, as there will be a number of different files that get populated. Then once you open up the file, it might take a second to load. This is a very large file, and if you have a rather slow computer, Fusion is pretty good about it, but it might be lagging a bit in the beginning. If you have performance issues, the first thing I would recommend you do is go in everything and turn off all of the fasteners. I have modeled basically all the nuts and bolts in this model just to be able to kind of know where they need to go, how many you need to order of what, but this can tax performance as it's a lot of individual bodies. Now, a lot of them are here up in the top component, but if you open up the other ones, there's the separate fastener category here. That's when you add a fastener here instead of Fusion 360 instead of a component. And all of these, they are sometimes a bit hidden, I'm sorry about that. But if you just hide those, you will get all the same information as before, but the performance should be a bit better. Now, the other thing you might notice that there is a lot of components and the timeline is quite long. I've tried to organize it somewhat with like these groups here, and this can help you to navigate it, but in the end it's going to be hard to really find a lot of the timeline features, so I would recommend sticking here with navigation inside of the tree here. By the way, if you do not have these colored markers here, you can enable them in the settings of Fusion, and this will just color your timeline features and your components here in the same color. And you can even here, I believe it should be somewhere in utilities, you can display the component colors here, and that will match up the colors. That just allows you to cross-reference it a bit easier when you don't know what is. I have divided up the model into kind of the separate components based on how they kinematically move. So we have the base, and that's the stuff that is always stationary. That's why this is also a grounded component. Then we have the X-axis assembly, we have the X carriage, and we have the C carriage. As part of the X carriage, there is also the dust shoe here, which can also move up and down. And these also are modeled with joints. As you can see, it works. Most of the stuff is properly jointed together, but there is the odd one, like this cover back here, that is just floating, that is not attached. And of course, these covers here, they also do not adjust, but it's just kind of to allow you to kind of see the movement. Also, if you of course want to see more about the details, you probably want to hide these covers pretty soon anyhow. There's these accordion covers here, and then in the base there's the Y-axis chip guard. And with those hidden away, you can see all the inner workings. I also have set up the movement joints so that it always snaps back to this position. In case you want to leave it at a different position to add some stuff to it and have a closer look at interference or whatever, you will have to go into the joints and disable the home position. Otherwise, it will always automatically snap back. So what you can see in here is what you get. This is a more or less full model. There are a couple of notable exceptions. For one, the drag chains are not modeled in here. It just didn't feel like modeling them in here, and they wouldn't animate properly either. But of course the attachment points here, this one is modeled, and here this attachment point is also modeled. Another thing that is missing is the tool setter here. as well as the air blast, but once again, the kind of attachment points are modeled, but not the actual components. If you've seen my Spinergy tool holders, you might also notice that these here are slightly different, but they are a close enough representation where they're like the same taper here, but I just couldn't get a model from them, and this one was available on GrabCAD. And of course, the other thing that is not modeled at all are all the cables, but I believe that is pretty standard, as that would just be way too much effort for what it is worth. Also, the motors here, just notice as well, all of them are modeled with the brake, whereas only the Z-axis motor has the brake. These are the lead train servo motors, so the other motors are slightly shorter in reality. I have mentioned this inside of the main video as well, but here on the Y-axis chip guard, you can see right now that this is a slightly different cover than what I am using. This is what I would recommend you get, as it allows the dust shoe to be properly, like have the proper space and not interfere with it. But if you go in here and check the bodies, there's also the original one in here in case you prefer that for whatever reason. Now, I have tried to make sure that all the components are up to date and are like kind of representative of the ones I'm using, and like are true to size and properly aligned. But of course, I cannot give you guys any guarantees. And if you buy something, it might change a revision and stuff might not align perfectly. So I'm just providing this model as it is, and I cannot give any sort of guarantees about it actually fitting together. For me, it worked out remarkably well, and all the components fit quite nicely with very minor changes. So that is something, but of course, your luck might vary, and that is just something to keep in mind. It's not like a step-by-step guide on how to build this machine, just more of a starting point from which you can start your own project. You can, of course, build this machine exactly like it is right here, but you can also just use this model and go from here, build your own. I have quite a few things available here as user parameters, and some stuff will update of like the basic frame if you change the dimensions here, but eventually it just got too complicated and I abandoned it. So if you change stuff in the parameters here, expect a lot of the timeline features, especially the later ones, you might have to go back in and fix and adjust some things, but you should be able to somewhat more easily change the sizes in case you want to build a different working size. Of course, making any sort of changes in here is also going to take a long time. You might even want to just back your timeline, your history marking the timeline up quite a bit if you want to play around with various different settings. That way it doesn't have to recompute the whole thing and only like recompute everything when you're all done with the changes. But I just wanted to quickly see how bad things break here, or if it's actually updating fine. So yes, as you can see, some stuff does not align properly, like this one here is not over, and the like pattern here doesn't go all the way. Some of these panels don't update properly, but the base frame here adjusted quite well to the increase in the x-axis. So if you want to change something, it should not be more than like an hour or two of work to update all the rest, compared to the dozens and dozens of hours it was to model it in the beginning. Now, when we go over to the manufacturer tab here, you can also see all of my kind of CAM operations for when I machined these plates. These are with the Radric Killer Bee in mind. They are just kind of provided as is if you want to use them as inspiration. Of course, you will have to adjust this to your machine and your settings, but I figured I'd leave them in here. That way you have a starting point, and you can just use them as you like. Here, once again, no guarantees provided. That is just what ended up working for me in the end. Also, like the stuff for the dust shoe and everything is in here as well. So that's it. This is the kind of the 3D model. I hope this gave you a better understanding of what you're getting yourself into. If you are building a machine similar to this, I think it's a great starting point and will definitely speed up your process. But don't feel like you have to buy this model if you want to copy some features of it. You can copy as many design features as you like without buying the model. Also, just like one more quick disclaimer, I am not able to provide you with like one-on-one support for building your machine. If the file, for whatever reason, is not working, that's of course different. I will help you get that up and running, but once your file is running, you're basically just on your own. I don't have the time to offer support. That is just not in the cards for me. So with that said, thank you guys for watching, good luck with your project, and I'll see you back on the main channel.